Okay, guys, hey, it's Melissa. I'm outside taking a break from my normal routine, just getting some fresh air. The comments in my YouTube channel have brought me to this video along with me thinking about things. So, why would we want girls to have abortions? We don't, right? If you really love and care about women, you're not going to want them to have abortions. So, I've shared my abortion story, like just years and years of dealing with this stuff from an abortion. And abortion is a moral stance, it's not just a political stance. It's a moral one where it's wrong, it's murder, it's killing a baby. So I've shared my story with my family and how I got pregnant, and then even the abuse before the abortion was, I remember my brother getting like a lit cigarette thrown, shoved down his throat. He was caught smoking. Do as I say, not as I do, as both my parents smoked. And, my father put him, my father was a huge guy, cornered him in the kitchen, shoved a cigarette down his throat. I don't say that to humiliate my brother. I actually pity what my brother went through. I don't know why my father was such a mean father to him when he was younger. Um, I remember another time walking into the house, and I'm trying to remember the age I was, and I just kind of walked into the bathroom, and my brother was pinned against the bathroom wall. My mother had him pinned against the bathroom wall. It was where we hung towels, and he actually punched her to get her off of him, or away from him. So, was there sexual abuse? Maybe, I'm not sure, but it was pretty serious. And I remember just, being young, a kid myself, and not understanding like exactly what was going on, and, being on my mother's side and telling him to get out and feeling a sense of protecting my mother and locking the screen door on him. I don't know what happened, but shortly after that, the courts were involved. My brother, um, took my parents to court for abuse. Um, Something about my Aunt Kim. He stayed with my Aunt Kim because she knew the judge, and there was just a lot going on. So my mother, um, she had some issues. She had major issues, and although she came from the project, she'll play the victim, and she was not the victim with my brother. She was not at all. There were times like she would just turn things around, and it wasn't her. It wasn't her who was ever at fault. It was always her who was the victim with everything, even my abortion. She's like, "Do you want me to help you raise the kid or what?" I knew I did not want her help, but I had not processed anything really as she, took over the whole thing and betrayed me with my father. And then after the abortion, she brought me to the doctors, put me on the pill. And, one of the things I love about God is He just, I was definitely on a wrong path with my life. My mother had me on the path of death. She didn't care if I slept with other guys. She didn't care. She put me on a pill, just like, go ahead and do this as long as you're on the pill. I had gone somewhere. I didn't even really have care from a doctor. I went somewhere, some clinic in Concord at the time, and had been checked for venereal disease. And at this time, I had herpes, and I got medication for that. But when I had my firstborn son, I actually went to the doctors and got tested for AIDS to make sure I was okay, because she didn't care. She didn't, after this guy, after the abortion, she was like, she later said, "Oh, it was all Mike's fault. It was all Mike's fault that this happened." And so she'll continually try to blame either Randy or Mike or somebody. And actually, she was the one who wanted me to date Mike. And, I had told her, some things thinking I could trust my mother somewhat after the abortion. And she was just like, "Oh, maybe you'll marry him." And then she's like, "No, you should be with him." And she would take my phone away. And then when I would still see him, like at a school dance. He snuck in the school dance with me. She came over and dragged me out of the school dance. And then, I showed her a diamond ring he gave me, and she's like, oh, well, maybe one day you'll marry him. And then another time it was, dragging me out of the arcade in front of all of my friends, like, come on, Melissa, with her friend Judy from the shoot. And just, it was all control. It wasn't like a relationship. And my mother always complained that her mother never took responsibility for her actions, and that's something I will say my mother has never done. She's never taken responsibility for her being an adult and me being a kid, and bringing me to a clinic to have an abortion, to sit there in a car and watch me in pain instead of calling the ambulance for help, um, and then abandoning me at a clinic. My mother was all for herself, whether it was Randy, who was the ticket that I would marry, to, you know, have money, or whether she would set me up with Mike, or whether she would set me up with, um, a quick, even at my wedding, she wouldn't even talk about me getting married. It was just, my parents like, yeah, just marry her off now, get rid of her. So there was no conversation about, oh, you're getting married. It was just, let me borrow a dress for you. I didn't even pick my own wedding dress. Let me borrow, Shirley's dress for you, and make it all look good on the outside. Make it look like, everything looks good. There was never any discussion about a lot. She gave me her Omni car, told, never helped me in school. I did my homework myself. I never had help with homework. I never had help with graduating early from high school. I mean, I was pretty much on my own doing everything. And when it came to college, it was, oh, you want to be a court reporter? All right, well then, if you want to go to college, I'll help pay for that. And then when I did go, it was, you didn't want to finish college, and now I have to pay for this, or they're going to take the house. So she signed for my college, but she certainly didn't want to pay for it. And once they did want the money, she had a problem with it. And again, it was the blame game. So I never really had like a good relationship with my mother. I mean, when I was now a mother and doing things my way, she just argued with me the whole time. She runs over to my in laws and says, I won't let her grandparent, when she actually was grandparenting. And she gave my firstborn son formula right from the can. She didn't mix it, and then she blamed my baby for drinking the formula. Uh, there was no use of car seats. I spoke up once and said, hey, uh, you know, you need to put my niece in a car seat and buckle her right, And she started crying to her mother, saying, oh, Melissa said this to me. So there's always just been like a, victim mentality with my mother. She had her issues, no doubt, but she had a chance to change just like I did. And when I said to her, when I've taken the time to change my life, um, because I wanted better for my kids, she could have done the same thing. So, um, eventually my mother was just like, oh, it's just too much to have a relationship with her, and blame me for that, and my father disowning me, and my mother putting words in my mouth to my father of things I've said that I did not say, and just getting in between me and my father. So there's been just a family of just falling apart. So um, this kind of continues in my life now from a distance with my mother-in-law, who knows my mother. And I've even, like, my best friend I saw years later in high school, she's like, oh, I feel so bad for your mother. And I was like, why? Why would you feel bad for my mother? So she, definitely, there's been a lot of issues there. And if I would have had my kid, I know for sure she would have been trying to, control my kid. But I would have, I think, even been strong enough then to say, hey, this is my kid. I think my father would have kicked me out because he certainly didn't want me to have a kid, and he disowned me later on, anyways. So I think he would have kicked me out, and I think I would have still been fine. I think I would have got on my feet as I always do, and I would have been fine one way or another. So that's kind of how it is. I'm probably going to post this to Instagram too and talk about this to help girls. Don't fall into the pit of letting your parents run your life when you're pregnant. It's your decision, and you're now a mother.